Good evening. It is Sunday, August 21st, 2016, and this is the first chance I've had to make a video today for this weekend. And I wanted to go over the books that inspire me to run. I know last week I talked about some of the YouTube vloggers that inspire me. And first, I wanted to tell you though, if you get glass stuck in your foot, take it out immediately. Do not do what I did and continue to run another mile and then walk 3 miles on it before you pick it out. It took me the whole weekend last weekend to get it out, and it was about the size of like a large grain of sand, the glass that was in there, and it was really deep. Thankfully, I was able to run 5 miles yesterday, so I'm really thankful. Praise God for healing me even when I'm stupid and get glass in my feet like that. So, yeah, soaking in Epsom salts, making sure it doesn't get infected. That's very important, but just don't do what I did. So the books, of course, The Runner's Guide to the Meaning of Life by Barefoot is, I think, my favorite. I've read it a number of times. I also read Marathon Man, my 26.2 mile journey from unknown grad student to the top of the running world. And that is by Bill Rogers, and he wrote it with Matthew Shepperton. And I read this book one time when I was on vacation, and I have to admit, I wasn't very social on that vacation. I was just reading that book because it was really interesting. I particularly remember reading about what he ate. I think he ate a lot of Oreos and junk food, but he still was an excellent runner. Bill Rogers, world famous. Also, I read, The Long Run of Miles Mayberry, which is actually a novel. And that is by Alfred Alcorn, and I don't even remember reading it. I write down all the books that I read, and the only comments that I had about that book were that it was depressing, but it ended well. So I had to go online and read some reviews to even remember that book at all. It wasn't a very good book, but you might like it. So go ahead. It's about a man who runs the Boston Marathon, and his life is kind of falling apart, but he's training so hard that he doesn't really notice it. It's interesting. I didn't really like it. Eat and Run, My Unlikely Journey to Ultra Marathon Greatness, and that one is by Scott Jurek. And I really enjoyed that book by Scott Jurek. It was inspiring not only for running, but also for vegan eating, which I'm not vegan, but it sounds really cool. Of course, The Runner's Guide to the Meaning of Life keeps coming up on my list. Running with Joy, My Daily Journey to the Marathon, and that's by Ryan Hall. He's a Christian marathoner, a Christian runner, and his book is really great. It's not extremely well written, but it's very practical, and I remember he kind of writes out day by day what he did. Yeah, so that's Running with Joy, My Daily Journey to the Marathon. Born to Run, I listened to that on audiobook. Born to Run, A Hidden Tribe, Super Athletes, and the Greatest Race the World Has Never Seen. I'm not wearing my contacts, so I can't really see. And who wrote that? Goodness gracious. Oh, Christopher McDougall, right? Yes, Christopher McDougall. Born to Run. There's a lot in there about this tribe that runs barefoot. I mean, they do have sandals on, I believe, so they're not completely barefoot. It's a good book. It's a lot of fun. And then the one I read most recently, as in just last month, is 2 Hours, The Quest to Run the Impossible Marathon. And that is by Ed Caesar? Yes, Ed Caesar. That one was great because nobody has been able to run a marathon in 2 hours yet. The closest they've gotten, I think, is 2 hours and 3 minutes. But nobody can break those 3 minutes yet. And so Sage Canaday at VO2 Max Productions did a review on that book, and that's what got me interested in it. So those are the books I've read. It is a small list. I also like to read Runner's World. We subscribe to it at the library where I work, so sometimes I'm sitting at the desk at work and I pick this up and take a look at it. A friend of mine is also subscribed and lets me read her copies. So that is my list of books that I may or may not recommend all of them, but it might give you some ideas of books to read to inspire you to run. And I hope you have a great week.